So about 2 weeks ago, when this manga series started in Weekly Shonen Jump, I remember looking at the cover page and was like, this looks so much like My Hero Academia. It looks like Horikoshi-sensei's artwork. And, I mean, when you literally put the artwork side by side, you could see so many similarities. Like, if you have seen, let's say, a manga panel slash cover slash illustration of My Hero Academia, and then you look at, like, the Hunters Guild Red Hood, you see it. The line work, the character design, the structure of the faces and everything, it looks like something straight out of My Hero Academia. And so, obviously, I did some investigating, and apparently Hunters Guild Red Hood is actually done by an assistant of Horikoshi-sensei. So literally someone that kind of trained underneath Horikoshi-sensei, learned his art style, and kind of got to help him create what My Hero Academia is today, has now finally created their own manga, which is this series right here, the Hunters Guild Red Hood. And so it's obvious now why the art style is just so similar. When you, learn underneath someone and you develop a habit, eventually that habit forms into your own unique style, and it's really, really engaging. I gotta take a few moments to just talk about this. Seeing kind of a similar art style to Horikoshi, in, a fantasy form, like a medieval fantasy form with fairy tales, is something that I never knew I needed until I read this manga. I was like, it looks so freaking good. It stands out. The backgrounds, to the artwork, everything about it, it stands out. Now, I know many are probably thinking, so you're saying that this artist, this writer of the Hunters Guild Red Hood is just riding off the coattails of Horikoshi-sensei from My Hero Academia. I am not saying that. I'm not. I'm just saying, just when you see the art style, it's really similar, and I love it. I love seeing just the fantasy touch to it, and just how the character design. I cannot wait to see what this series has to offer, and how this artist develops and grows as the series continues to move on, which that is the next thing to talk about. So, as always, we know how Shonen Jump can be. Shonen Jump can have quite the curse when it comes to the axing department. I mean, we've seen it. I've seen it. I mean, there's been so many countless series. I'm not going to get back into it. And please, Shonen Jump, be nice. Just be nice, please. This is such a unique series of Weekly Shonen Jump now. It really is super freaking unique. And it's like, I want more of this, because it's like right up my alley of the type of stories that I really crave and stuff I enjoy and that I don't get much anymore. And so let's talk about that. So if you've actually yet to sit down and read the Hunters Guild Red Hood, let me kind of explain what it's about. So, have you ever heard of, let's say, Little Red Riding Hood, The Boy Who Cried Wolf? Or have you ever seen the Brothers Grimm, some of the fairy tales from the Brothers Grimm? Well, that's basically what this series is. It literally is everything I would want from a Brothers Grimm telling in a manga. That's what it is. It's literally that. So, if you know anything about those dark, twisted fairy tales of Brothers Grimm, this is what the manga is going to definitely be about. And the reason why I say that is because our main female character is called Grimm. She has a red hood, Little Red Riding Hood. We see werewolves, which is the big bad wolf that you get in the Little Red Riding Hood story. And then the little boy that we're introduced to is kind of like a boy that cried wolf, but at the same time he also takes up the mantle of the lumberjack from, the Little Red Riding Hood story. So there's a lot of correlation with these different stories kind of being tangled together, and seeing the main female character called Grimm, it lets you know that it's definitely hinting at the fact, like a big old nod, that yeah, this is going to go down the darker fairy tale story of the Brothers Grimm. So just instantly, 100% recommendation. I'm very biased. I'm very biased when it comes to fairy tales, dark fairy tales and stuff, because if you have been around for a while and you've watched my channel, I've talked about a few series over the years that kind of dives into some fairy tales and stuff, when you see how pixies or sprites are kind of described in stories. Because, when you think of pixies, fairies, or sprites, usually people think they're nice and kind. That's typically what cartoons like to show them as, these kind individual entities. But in reality, the true stories of pixies, sprites, and fairies, they're demented. They're evil. They lead people into the woods and, lead them astray and even devour them. They do these heinous things behind the scenes. And, when you see stuff like fairy tales twisted and warped, I love that type of stuff. I mean, you could kind of say that's kind of questionable. But I like how the Hunters Guild Red Hood is diving into the darker aspect of fairy tales. Like, the Little Red Riding Hood story being retold like this in this type of setting is super fascinating to me, because it's like, we have Red Riding Hood, and then we have the Lumberjack, but the Lumberjack's origin story and becoming something much more. So just, yeah, if you are not interested in fairy tales, I don't think this series is definitely going to be for you. But if you're someone that grew up with a bedtime story or just had stories told to you and you were interested in it, here you go. This is the best way to honestly give a description to what to expect. But obviously, there is a lot more. Like, oh my goodness, our main female character is, like, thick. Like, I don't usually use that word, but she's literally that's all I'm gonna say, just like thick. But it's just, if you see the manga panels, it's just like, holy crap, this character design. There's one thing definitely this artist took from Horikoshi-sensei, was definitely the female character design. Like, if you like, you know, about Mirko or any of the female characters, honestly, from My Hero Academia, you'll know Horikoshi-sensei's designs of his female characters. And when I just look at Red Hood, which is, you know, Grimm, I'm just like, yeah, wow, he really took those designs, like, waifu status designs of different characters. So just like, yeah, I really think this series has a lot of potential. Like, I see so much potential in it. It can become something so crazy good, because, like, just thinking about fairy tales in general, like, any type of fairy tales, if that's what direction this story is going to go down, like, we might have, like, the Headless Horseman, a retold story of the Headless Horseman. We could have something maybe to do with, let's say, Rapunzel, you know, all sorts of different things. We might get into, like, you know, Arthur, King Arthur and Merlin and stuff like that. We might get into, let's say, like, a dragon type story. We could get into maybe, I don't know, some crazy stuff. I just feel like there's a lot of potential here. So many different fairy tale stories that, like, the names elude me, but there's a lot of them. There's so many countless fairy tales, and this series, I really hope it does. Like, I would love to see, let's say, like, a Van Helsing, like, Dracula type story, like Castlevania, or just, like I said, the Headless Horseman. Like, Headless Horseman hasn't been done in a very long time. I would like to see another retelling of, like, a Dullahan in, like, you know, an anime or manga. So just, like, yeah, please. I really hope this series sticks around for I can see stuff like that, because, like, it has so much potential. I mean, I do believe that this is going to be around for a while. Just looking at what it is and the presentation of it, it fits that little niche. That little niche that Shonen Jump, I think, has been missing. It's been missing, like, a very good fantasy story, and a fantasy story that is still very shonen in nature, but also has this darker element to it, because it retains that vibe you would get if you're interested in, let's say, Jujutsu Kaisen, or Chainsaw Man, etc. But at the same time, it remains very grounded, where those type of individuals that like those stories might still like this as well. And it's a very smart series to release at this time, because people obviously are really loving spirits. They're really loving the element of, like, the, you know, just these weird creatures. And then, so when you have fairy tales being introduced like this, it's definitely going to pique people's interest of wanting to know what it's about. So, I feel like the series has a lot of potential, and that it's not going to collapse in on itself and get canceled. I mean, I could be putting my own foot in my mouth, but I mean, please, Shonen Jump, please, for the love of all that is, like, good in anime and manga, just please don't cancel this. This is something I've been wanting for a very long time. Like, this is definitely a manga series I know can be so freaking good. Like, the next big thing if this sticks around. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't press that, like, that band hammer, that axe. Don't do that. Don't put this series on the chopping block. It can be good, and I feel like the female character alone is probably going to get people interested. So, just, yeah, anyways, I guess I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to talk about this series. I feel like it's just super fascinating. I love just the twists and retellings, and just the artwork is so good, and just, man, like, I can't wait for the next chapter. There's currently 2 chapters right now, so if you want to catch up, pretty simple right now. Literally, just 2 chapters, and, you know, obviously a new chapter comes out every single Sunday, so if you're wanting to, you know, read it, it comes out Sunday with all the other chapters, like One Piece, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, etc., which, I know this isn't a Black Clover video, but I just want to briefly mention something. Holy crap, Black Clover's been good. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, yo, it's been really good. But okay, anyways, I'll leave it at that, though. I love you guys. You be safe. You stay healthy. If you enjoyed my video, as always, you know, leave a like. leave a comment. Let me know how you felt about it if you read it, and let me know if you actually are going to read it or not. But anyways, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.